Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
I'm looking for a volunteer to come up here and follow that. Anybody? Well, I guess it's going to be me. As you notice, I'm not that guy right there. That's our beloved Reverend Michael. And unfortunately, he is recovering from a respiratory thing, so he asked him to fill in. And I just want to say, isn't that annoying? Not annoying that I have to fill in, although some of you may be annoyed by that. You don't have to let me know. Keep that a secret, okay? But isn't it annoying when there's something that you have prepared for or that you've wanted to do, that you've planned for, and all of a sudden, maybe it's your body, maybe it's another circumstance that kind of says, not so fast. You're called to rest. For whatever reason, you cannot do the thing that you wanted to do in the time that you wanted to do it. And that is part of life, right? So especially annoying this time of year when it's the new year and we want to seize the day, make a fresh start. Maybe some of y'all have made some New Year's resolutions. I'm usually behind, so I'm going to make mine in about February or March. But I will say, I was thinking about the word resolve, and to resolve to do something, and I'm sure this isn't the root word, I did not look this up, but I thought about the idea of to repeat, to redo, and solve, to fix something. And I thought, that's why so many of our resolutions look familiar. We're solving the same problems over and over, creating the same goals over and over. And sometimes that's how we come to know ourselves. Are these creatures that we are constantly seeking to improve. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with that, and actually there's a beautiful thing about wanting to expand, to create, we are hardwired to do so, that is only half of the story if we think that what's happening out here on the surface level is who we are. So I'm so excited about this particular series. In January, it's based on Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. We're calling it Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. And today's message, Reverend Michael was going to speak on knowing who you truly are. And that's a beautiful title, so if it ain't broke, I ain't going to fix it. And so that's where we're going to go. And one of the things I love that Eckhart brings up in his book, he talks about in ancient Greece, the Apollo temple. There's an oracle there. Delphi in ancient Greece, and people would come in to have the oracle tell them their future, tell them when it was a good time to make this move, make that move, find out information about their lives. But the words that were inscribed upon the temple before you could even enter say, know thyself. And Eckhart posits that if we were to really contemplate on those words, to take them deeply within our being, to discover what it really means to know thyself, there is simply nothing, no matter how accurate the oracle is, could really give us, because we would have accessed a deeper truth and the deeper part of our being that transcends all of our conditions. Because here's the thing, a lot of times when we say, to know yourself, if I were to ask you about yourself, you would have a lot of answers for me. A lot of answers about various roles that you have played. Mother, father, cousin, sister, brother, teacher, doctor, whatever your roles are, we all have them. A person that's been successful at this, a person that's failed at this. You would tell me all of these things. Those things are about you. They are the content of your life. And they have a relative truth to them. But if we over-identify with the content of our life, it can become very dissatisfying. Have you ever noticed when you're talking about goals or resolutions or wanting to get things done, it often feels like you're taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back? Some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug. Do you remember that? That was an old song. Some days it feels like you're on fire, you got everything under control. I finally figured it all out, and the next day, holy smokes, I feel like I did nothing right. That is the realm of condition. My husband and I did something weird on New Year's Day. We decided, why not start off the new year? We wanted to do something that was a little bit of a challenge. So we said, well, what's a challenge that we actually knew we could probably do, but that would be just annoying enough to be hard? So we said, we're going to walk 20 miles. Okay, but yeah, okay. Well, let me tell you how it went. Okay, so we're walking along, everything's wonderful, and he tells me, I think out of these 20 miles, I want to run one of them. And let me tell you, this is my husband, Chris. This is just kind of him in a nutshell. We're going to do something hard, but I'm going to make it a little bit harder than you're doing. Not that I ever find that annoying. I'm very spiritual, so I never get annoyed by that. So I don't remember. We're at about mile 10. We see this juice place, and I said, you know what? Why don't we go walk another mile? We'll be a mile from the juice place. You can run to the juice place. I'll walk. I'll be behind you. Curdy and Joey ran into you that day. Yeah? I'll walk. And then you'll be able to rest an extra 10 minutes because I'm going to be walking a lot slower than you run. Well, there he goes. He takes off. And about half a mile in, I'm thinking, my competitive nature got to me. I'm like, I don't want him to be the only one that's running. I'm really going to impress him. I'm going to take off running now, and I'm just going to pull up to that juice place, just jogging effortlessly, But the thing is, I did not wear my glasses that day on that walk. Is right. And I missed the turn to the juice place. So I'm happily running faster in the wrong direction. And finally, I end up not at a juice place, but under a bridge at a Subway sandwich shop. And I called Chris and I said, I'm at a Subway under a bridge. And he said, what? So sure enough, I had gone the wrong direction. And it took me about a mile to get back to where I was. So I did 21 miles, ha, ha, ha. But the point of that is that even in this idea that we just made up, we want to do something, it was not without folly. And then we're still achieved the thing, but it wasn't even the sake of achieving the thing because we made it up. There was nobody going to give us a certificate for this, probably just tell us, you guys are weird, right? The next morning, I do want to say one more thing about it. Chris said, you know what? We really missed it. It's 2025. We should have done 25 miles. I said, well, you're right. So maybe next year, I'm inviting anyone now that wants to do 26 miles, walk with us. I thought, I can make it a fun with friends event, but it doesn't sound that fun, and I'm not sure we'd all be friends afterwards. So you decide if you want to do that with us or not. I love what Ralph Waldo Emerson says about living today as if today. It's one day. That's all it is, each day. He said, live today and be finished with it. And I love this part. He says, some absurdities and blunders will have crept in. Anybody ever have any absurdities and blunders creep in? He said, but be finished with it. Forget about them as soon as possible. He said, tomorrow is a new day. You will wake up serenely and too spiritually high-minded to be encumbered by your old nonsense. And I think that's sometimes what we're really seeking to do when we make these resolutions. We know there's some kind of nonsense that we're giving too much attention to. Something about the content of our life. So we want to try to transcend it. But the only way that we can truly transcend it is to disidentify with it. So we have the conditions of our lives. Each one of us is going through different things, some beautiful things right now, some things that are perhaps painful. And it's going to have, whether you're in a beautiful experience right now or a painful experience right now or some kind of mix of the two in different areas of your life, none of it will last. And if you're on a mountaintop experience right now, there will be a time again that you'll be in a valley experience and vice versa. So what can sustain us through these times is to realize that there's a difference between denial and disidentification. Because see, what we don't want to do is deny that the things are happening. to pretend that we're not suffering, to pretend that something's not painful. That's not helpful to anyone. And whatever we resist, we actually create more energy of that. But what we do want to do is, while we don't deny it, we can disidentify from it. Meaning that we don't give our whole identity to it. We don't give our whole attention to it. We don't look at what's the conditions of our life and say, well, this is all there is. This just must be it for me. I think that Jesus was talking about this in the Gospel of Matthew. And he talks about the idea of treasure. And this is a familiar scripture to many of us. He talks about storing our treasure. And he says, so don't store your treasure on earth where moths and vermin can destroy and where thieves can break in and steal, but rather store for yourself your treasures in heaven where moths and vermin cannot destroy, where thieves cannot break in and steal, because where your heart treasure is, your heart is also. That's right, Joanne. Your heart is also. So your heart, meaning it has a wisdom that the intellect can't quite grok. Because what I'm talking about when we get identified with our circumstances and we get identified with the concept of who we think we are and our roles and our successes and failures, even if we have the concept, I am a spiritual being, Eckhart says that there's one way to really see, and I do not like this lesson, he says there's one way to really see who you believe you are. Because you can say, I believe myself to be an expression of the divine. I believe myself to be an ambassador of peace. But if the next email comes through, when that text message pops up, when you get in your car, outside a Unity parking lot, everybody's smiling, lovely, right? You just go a little bit down Richmond. Whee! Doesn't take very long to come up against something that might cause you to move from that definition of yourself. And this is the lesson that is like the kind of a sour medicine, is in that moment, who you believe you are is as small as the thing that's happening that disturbed you. So when small things have the power to disturb you, who you're believing you are in that moment is small. And when we increase our perspective, what isn't small in comparison to the vast consciousness of oneness? It's all small stuff, right? It doesn't necessarily feel like it in the moment. But as soon as we notice that we have hooked back into that belief that these outside conditions have the power to steal our peace, that they have the power to cause in us a sense of hate. Now, I'm not talking about getting righteous anger when you see an injustice or things that galvanize you to make a difference in the world. That's a beautiful thing. And I'm also going to say, when you want to make effective change in the world, in your life, what matters ultimately is the consciousness with which you do it. Are you doing it with a consciousness of enemy and againstness? Or are you doing it from, I love that, fill my cup, from the overflow, like we sang at the beginning of the service, the overflow of love, the overflow of the goodness that you are. And when you are in tune with that, you will not meet the resistance that you might meet when you treat life like an enemy. Eckhart Tolle talks about the present moment is here and now, and that it is inseparable from life. So when you have a dysfunctional relationship with the present moment, when you treat it like an enemy or an obstacle to be overcome, that is your relationship with life in that moment. And when you think about that, it feels a little insane, doesn't it? To make life an enemy, to make this present moment an enemy, or see it as an obstacle, when in fact it's the only thing there is. When Jesus talks about storing your treasures up in heaven, he's not saying this, we're saving this for a later date. This is some place we're going to get to, because remember he said that Heaven has not come with signs to be posted as here, there, tomorrow. It's now. It's in the midst of you. And in unity, what we teach is that heaven is not a place we get to when we lay these bodies down. Heaven is a state of consciousness. It's a state of consciousness where we know our oneness with the divine. And this is why Jesus' teaching was so radical for his time and even still today. Because I don't know if you're all walking around in oneness consciousness all the time. I know I'm certainly not. But it's this reminder that there is no separation exists in the world, but that our thinking makes it so. And so how does this relate to your purpose? Because I can assure you it does. When we treat heaven like it's a place to get to, and maybe let's use this word, let's use the word holiness. When we treat holiness as a destination, when we treat our own wholeness as a destination, as a place that we're not there yet, then what is happening right here? Who's living our lives in this moment? What happens when the things that are occurring in our lives that are actually pointers to us, these disturbances, these things that do take our peace, are actually pointing us to, oh, this is what I'm believing about myself in this moment. I get to choose whether to keep this belief or let it go. And in the letting go of it is a liberation. And it's the doorway to liberation. So, my friends, as you're making your resolutions or you're thinking about what kind of habits and activities you want to embody here, those are very important. But I think, in a way, sometimes we have the idea of creating effective habits or the activities of our lives that will express who we know that we have truly come here to be. I think we have it backwards in a certain way. I think we think, well, if we do this habit and wake up at this time and do this, then I will be a good person. Then this will make me the kind of person I will be proud of. And there's something beautiful about habits. But for my friends, like, what? No? Yes. But hang on a minute. Because what if, instead of starting with what are the things I can do to make myself a better person, what if I accept my own holiness right here, right now, just as I am, with all my absurdities, all my blunders, all my gifts, all my joys, all my triumphs, all my despair, all the things that make up every human being. What if right here, right now, I'm holy? I'm a holy expression of the divine. What then the question might be, what habits, what ways of being would honor this expression of the divine? When you truly can know yourself as this loving expression of the divine, then you would ask yourself, what's the most loving thing I can do for myself today? Maybe that is probably not go for a 20-mile walk, but go for a walk. Maybe it does affect your nutrition choices. Maybe it does affect who you reach out to that you're feeling disconnected from. Maybe it does affect what the next step that you take for that job that you want or the home that you desire. But you're doing it out of a place of knowing your own wholeness rather than expecting that thing to make you feel whole. Because if you collect all the habits in the world, as beautiful as they are, you become what looks like a perfect model human being, and you still don't know thyself. What do you have? And that's for you to look inside yourself and see. At the Burning Bowl ceremony last week, Reverend Michael sang a song, Let It Go. I think it's by David Wilcox. And the beginning lines was something like, I had to lay it down, the treasure I'd almost found. I'd been holding on for so long. I had to lay it down. Sometimes in this content portion of our life, when we become over-focused on it, hyper-vigilant about becoming in this way with the content part of our life, We can get consumed by this treasure that we think when we have this, once we have this, then we'll be okay. Not realizing it, that it's the idea of this when I that is so heavy, that is keeping you from the good that is right here, right now. A few years ago, I was given a book called This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. And I'd like to share a little bit with you, and then I'll let you know when I'd like you to repeat after me. He says something so profound in this. He says that we talk about this one presence and one power, the divine. And he says that this power, it's actually not just, I'm not just identified with it, but it's actually flowing through me now. That the divine presence isn't, I'm just not unified with the divine presence, but that presence is my presence now. Can you say that with me? That presence is my presence now. It is my one and true self. It is my one and true self. I am forever one with life. I am forever one with life. And so you are. And so as I close the message today, it might not sound like an upbeat thing to close on, but I still feel called to do so. I'm just very aware that those of us that are here in this room on this first Sunday of 2025 and online, there are people that started out 2024 with us that are no longer here. And so next year, 2026, there will be people in our lives that are with us on this journey that will no longer be with us. Could be us. Could happen to any of us. It's a part of life. So to wait to be good enough to enjoy your life, to celebrate your life, to wait for another day to know yourself, when you can know yourself directly through the experience of going within and sensing this space that is within you, this vastness that is within you, is life itself. And that you are an expression of that life, pure and simple. And that you get to play with the world of form in any which way you want and just keep coming back home to that truth. So I'd like to invite you to pray with me now. In this holy moment, made holy by the presence of everyone here today, everyone within the sound of my voice, we bring our own beauty, our own holiness. All of it we bring. There is nothing that does not belong in this circle, for we are swimming in the ocean of God. We are resting in this vast space of infinite love. And so, knowing ourselves in this way, each one of us called to express that one life, that one love, that one presence in our own unique way. We are empowered to do so. We are encouraged to do so. We are uplifted to do so. And the more that each person here brings their own unique gifts and their uniqueness to the world, the more we can all celebrate together, heal together, grow together, create a world of peace together. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. Thank you all so much. Blessings to every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.